All right, now let's take a look at how to get those two critical values for the example I just did in StatCrunch. So what I want to do is I want to click on Stat, and my first option is Calculators, and I want to scroll down to chi-square. Okay, so it's going to give me a few prompts. So I would like to change my degrees of freedom. Remember, for this problem the sample size was 15, so I'm going to change my degrees of freedom to 14. And I want to delete out this x value. It's actually a chi-square value. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, but if you recall from my sketch, I had partitioned it into two tails, and the way the table in the text reads is it reads from the critical value to positive infinity. There's some more flexibility with StatCrunch. I can change that sense of direction. So if you refer back to my sketch in the previous video, I had an area of 0.005 in that lower tail. Okay, so if I put in 0.005, oops, it's stuck. Okay, there it is. For my area, then it should put in the correct lower critical value down here. So I select Compute, and you'll see that I get approximately the same critical value that I did using the table. Okay, so about 4.075. Now notice it's shading that little bit of area there. Okay, so we can read in different directions for the chi-square calculator in StatCrunch, which is a little bit more flexible than the table in the text. Okay, so now to get the upper critical value, I can change this to a greater than and delete out that critical value, okay, and change again that area to 0.005 because as you recall from my sketch, I had 0.005 area in the upper tail. So select Compute, and it gives about the same critical value as we found using the table. Okay, so similarly, I could have found that lower critical value by using this sense of direction. Okay, I could have told it to find an area greater than a chi-square value. That's 0.995. Okay, so again it gives me that same critical value. Okay, but to use the table in the text, you need to remember that it reads from the critical value to positive infinity. Okay, so it's not as flexible as StatCrunch. And I strongly recommend for all of these problems, when you're finding these critical values by hand, that you sketch the curve and shade the area that you're going to need to use the table.